So it was 2009 and I needed a job. And there was only one opening. And it looked kind of okay, so I decided that was it. Remember in the first chapter of our book that we're studying, The Secret of Unlimited Prosperity by Catherine Potter, how she said, don't lock down in form, don't lock your good down in form, don't limit your form to a specific thing. Well, I did. And my spiritual teacher, Jane Elizabeth Hart, who, by the way, will be here in the 11th of September, Jane Elizabeth Hart was tolerating this. When I shared with her, oh, I think this is it, oh yeah, I'm gonna, and she said, So I show up there, and they just built a new church building. It was so wonderful. And to greet me came the search committee, and the chair of the search committee showed up in a leather outfit with spikes all over from top to bottom, like in some movie, like some scary movie. And the words came to me, don't try to win this person over. She was making a statement. And I was having some interesting experiences. I asked, can I see the building? And I looked around and they showed me this beautiful sanctuary with like 250 seats and this ballroom that was even bigger where they had fellowship. And I said, can I see the classrooms? Classrooms? Oh yeah. They showed me these two little closets. And actually three. The third one was filled with stuff. And I said, where did the children go? Oh, well, they go in here. And I went, And then, so it went on. And my guidance was love. Give it, give it, give it. So I gave forth. It really went beautifully. It was just, it was a wonderful experience. But I knew it wasn't right. So I came back and I said to Jane Elizabeth Hart, this isn't right, I just need to withdraw my name. And she said, no. In the process that you're in, you need to be open. You need to say yes. You need to open up your hands. You need to open up your arms. You need to open up your spiritual catcher's mitt. But she didn't use those words. And what came to me in prayer was, God is the pitcher and you are the catcher. But you can't catch anything unless you've got the catcher's mitt open. So I didn't, and I said, but I knew they weren't going to pick me because I didn't fit their pictures at all. But it was perfect. It was perfect. And it's perfect on a lot of levels because they're going on their 6th minister in the last 7 years. And, it was a very spiky kind of place. But it was perfect for me to have the experience because what I learned in that experience was I had to open up to God. You got to be open. And you don't just dismiss things. She says, you got to have an open spirit. And so what came to me was, I had to go and put myself out in ways that were beyond and above. Now think about in your life, if there's something that's delayed in your life, something you're looking for to manifest, whether it's a prosperity need or healing or something else, where can you open up? Where can you start the process? How can you open up the door? So what I did is I went online and I looked up every Unity church in the country and sent them an email offering my services, created a little flyer, created this workshop that was all about Myrtle Fillmore and about the spirit of what do you want, what's in the way, and what are you going to do about it, and this whole thing that I keep teaching out of ever since. And I said to these churches, I said, I'll come for free. Not for free, but I'll pay my own way. And you just give me whatever love offering, but we'll do a split. And I didn't charge anything, and I was open. I went everywhere I was asked to go. I just put it out there, and I put it out there, and put it out there. And all these doors opened, and I ended up here. Now, why am I telling you this? Because what came to me was put out your catcher's mitt. Put out your catcher's mitt. I don't care if you're a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan. How many of you are White Sox fans? Raise your hand. Yeah. How many Cubs fans, right? Yeah. It's like that in our family too. But think about it. Think about it. Open and receptive. The catcher. Andrew was sharing with me this gigantic catcher's mitt whenever they were legal. Where there was a knuckleballer and Roy Wilhelm had to have a catcher who would catch something. But have an open and receptive attitude. Truly, the attitude with which you embrace life and you approach life is going to open up doors for you if you have that open and receptive attitude. It takes so many different forms. Open up your heart, open up your mind, open up your spirit in prayer, open up to divine ideas. Those divine ideas are waiting for you. They're always there. But are you quiet enough? Are you receptive enough to catch them? The word prayer in Aramaic is to catch the thoughts of God, to set a trap for the thoughts of God. That's literally what that means. to catch the thoughts of God. Jane Elizabeth Hart, who's coming on September 11th to speak in our church, and she's been here a few years ago. How many of you heard Jane Elizabeth Hart? She wrote Spiritual Power Tools and the 7 Steps and many wonderful things. She was in a situation where she had the cushiest, best job you could ever imagine. She got to work at Unity Village, drove around in a Mercedes, flew all over the country, meeting their big donors and praying with people, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful career. And what came to her was, you've got to quit. But how it happened was she went into the Silent Unity daily prayer service at 11 o'clock at Unity Village in the Silent Unity Chapel, and she saw this 8-sided figure, this hexagon, no, octagon, and it said Center for Enlightenment. Center for Enlightenment. She didn't know what any of that meant. She thought it was an 8-sided building that she was supposed to get or something and start some kind of ministry. So she also got that she needed to quit her job the 1st of January, the year 2000, which happened to be the day we moved there. So she and Lynn are driving all over Kansas City area looking for an 8-sided building, looking everywhere for this physical thing locked into form called, that she was going to make into the Center for Enlightenment. And they couldn't find it. And they looked and they looked and they looked, but it was that wasted energy? No. She was putting forth the energy, putting forth the attitude, like me going to all those churches with my heart open. Where can you put forth your energy? Where can you reach out? There's somebody that needs your love. There's somebody that needs your care. There's somebody that needs your healing energy. There's somebody that needs something from you. There's a way in the situation you're in and that bad neighbor or that lousy job or that whatever, where you can give just a little bit more love, a little bit more light, a little bit more healing energy, and it'll open up the doors. So what happened to her was her kids came to her and they said, please don't do this, Mom. They'd seen her do this kind of thing before. They knew she just paid off all of her medical debts and she didn't have much money, and even though she was solvent. And they asked her, how much money do you have? And she said, 3 months worth. But she did it anyway, and somebody who she prayed with hunted her down, searched her out, and laid enough money on her that she will never have to work anything but this. This is endowed. This is endowed. The Center for Enlightenment. You go online and read Center for Enlightenment, and she does it. She found out Center for Enlightenment was not a form. It was not locked down in form. I am not locked down in form. Together. I am not locked down in form. I've got my catcher's mitt out. Together. I've got my catcher's mitt out. And I'm open and receptive to God's ideas. Together. And I'm open and receptive to God's ideas. So what happened was that he laid this on her, and she found that she never found a building. She ended up going into our church and serving there, and in our next church and serving there. And we created this entire spiritual group, and we're now online. We're all over the country, and we meet once a week, and we have so much that's going on. But be open, be open. It's not limited. It's not limited, but and it means you've got to take some steps. You've got to take a step. I've got to take a step. Together. I've got to take a step, but not a step like this. Man, I'll take a step over here because that's safe. Because that's I know what this is. No, be willing to move in any and all directions, up and down, sideways, in, out, all the dimensions, everything. Don't limit yourself. Open yourself. Open up to God. Open up to God. But you've got to be receptive. You've got to be receptive, and that means listening. That means listening. I love this quote. I love this quote from my good friend Mary Kupferle. She and I'd have lunch at Testa's in Palm Beach for a number of years, and she's a Unity's third most popular author in the last half of the 20th century. And she wrote this once. She said, "All that we can desire or ever envision or hope to attain is already provided for us. It is already available and will ever be awaiting our acceptance. We must sometimes take the time and thought for receiving. We sometimes forget that being a good receiver is not a complicated task, but a matter of simple application." One person puts it this way: take time every day to quietly let God give to you. Be still, get quiet. Simply say to the loving presence of God, "I am ready to receive. Dear God, I'm ready to receive all the good that you wish to give to me. I am receiving now. I am receiving now." She told me one time over lunch there at Testa's in Palm Beach, she said, "You know what I've been doing lately?" I was always curious because she was always open. You know, one time she told me, I just checked myself into a treatment facility. What? She says, it's a codependency place, but I don't really have any big issues or any big problems in my life, but I just want to get away and just do some spiritual work. And she went there for a month and she loved it. They made me stop all my normal practices and I just did everything. She was 84 years old. How many 84-year-olds are that open? But she told me, you want to know what I'm doing? I said, what? She said, I'm in my listening chair every day. And I just listen. I don't pray. I don't even meditate. I just sit and I listen. Was it any surprise that she had these divine ideas of all these children's books that she came out with and all these things that came to her and all this incredible goodness? She used to come every Sunday. Oh my gosh, she was just this incredible light. The point being that you can do it. You can do it. Start with an attitude. Open up your eyes. Open up your hands. Open up your mind. Open up your heart. Open up your spirit. Get that willing spirit. Open up. Open up. Open up to God. And don't be limited by anything. But it means you got to let something go. You got to give something up. You got to give something up in order to get. You've got to let go of that stale old energy. I love this. I love this one quote from Myrtle Fillmore, because this is something that's really apt for a lot of us. Anyone who says you cannot teach an old dog new tricks is already an old dog or is well on the way to becoming one. She was 85 years old, and she was. It was in the last physical year of her life, but she was always open, always open. But I love this quote from Ernest Wilson, who was also up in years when he wrote this. When you dissolve the barriers of repellent thought, and you substitute a receptive attitude of mind, good things will come to you in unexpected and wonderful ways, sometimes with a promptness that is astonishing. A promptness that is astonishing. This happened with a couple of people in a church I once served. A woman walked up to me one Sunday, and she'd always been a little prickly. She walked up and she said, I got something I want to tell you. And I thought, oh. And she said, you look exactly like my first husband. And his name was Greg too. I hate his guts. And then she walked away. That was some rough stuff. A few weeks later, I was giving a seminar on forgiveness. It was a forgiveness seminar. And she was there. She was in the front row, and she was taking notes furiously. I taught the 7-step method, and I taught the processes and the journaling things that we always talk about. We've got all the sheets outside of the fellowship hall. And she was willing to do the work. A few months later, we had an opening in that church for a full-time position that I would work with very closely. Now, she would be the last person I want to hire for that, right? My guidance was so strong, hire her. Hire her. She did the work. She was open and receptive, and her good showed up. And her good showed up in the most unlikely, talk about unexpected income forms. And there was another man in that church, and I shared this story where he was always really rough. And Lynn and I, when we were together during the fellowship time, in that church we would usually walk around together, and we just, if he came up, we didn't know what was going to happen. Finally, one day he showed up with a sheaf of papers, handed it to me, he says, I want you to read this, and walked away. I took it home, and it was something he'd written. I knew that he was a college professor, and he hadn't been able to find a position despite all the colleges in the area. He was looking for a position. And so he was an English professor, and so the English on this was fabulous, but it was all about, he was 10 years old, he was molested as a child by a scoutmaster. And the next week he asked me for it back, and he said, did you read it? And I said, yes. He said, he looked exactly like you.
Oh, gosh.
And that was why he'd been like that. And he took a forgiveness seminar, and he worked through it. He and I ended up having this warm relationship. We were able to go to lunch and have a great time, but it wasn't like that before. My point being that what happened then was that he got a tenured professorship. It opened up because there was something in the way. There was something in the way. You can't catch the ball if there's a big glob of goo there. You got to get that out of the way. I don't know how crude my analogy needs to be, but you gotta open up to God. Get that, put it out. The thing that's holding you back may be the past. It may be, you think the good old days are better than today? Well, let's just face it, the good old days were not better than today, never were better than today. It's just an illusion, and I love what it says in Ecclesiastes. It says, you should never ask why things were better in the old days, because that is a question based in ignorance. It's a stupid question, because things were never better, because the only day you've got is this day today. It's the only time you've got. It's the only possibility you've got. You've got to open up to God. You know, I love that the loving, receptive, open spirit, generous spirit that you would experience at Disneyland and Disney World. How many people have been at one of those places, Disneyland and Disney World? You know, when it started the first year in 1955, they were going under. They were failing. Nobody wanted to come to this place. They weren't doing well at all, and the accountant met with Walt Disney and said, you're either going to have to close this place or do something, but at the very least you got to close down at night because you're losing your shirt at night. Nobody's coming. And Walt Disney said, no, we're just not doing enough to serve. We're not doing enough to serve. We're not reaching out enough. So he created the electrical parade down Main Street with the fireworks and the bands and the music. And, you know, it cost them a little bit of money, but they put it out. I think they just put out Cinderella so they had a little bit of cash. But they put it out, and within a matter of weeks, the night was far more people than the daytime. In fact, people come early in order to stay for the night, and they were out of the hole, and they were able to continue. My point is that you got to open up. Have that generous spirit. Open up. Be that consciousness that reaches out. Be that consciousness that is not limited in form, that is unlimited spirit. It's a way to exercise that being that you are. That great, capacious being that is not closed down on itself. I remember hearing Sam Keen say that addiction is once a great, capacious being that is closed down on itself in form. But open up to God. Be open in spirit to that consciousness that is always there. The divine ideas that are waiting for you. That wonderful unexpected income. You know, I was looking for the flyer, but I don't have it. The unexpected income is looking for good in unexpected places. One of the ways you can do this is by letting go of that which you don't need to hold on to. Circulation Day. This is Circulation Day. Karen Buchanan and her crew and Mary and her crew, they're gonna put on this. You're gonna put on the Circulation Day. Mary Borkowski and Karen are sharing it. But what they're doing is inviting you on July 9th at 8:30 to show up and help them set up tables, and then bring all the stuff that you did not use in the last year, or that you're not going to use in the next year. And then we think, why are we doing this? Well, are we doing it for the person who receives? Yes. There was that woman who got the guidance to drive down Central. She was a very traditionally religious person. She said, the Holy Spirit told me to drive down Central this morning. I didn't want to, but I drove down Central. And she needed 2 bicycles for her kids. And she had a lot of other needs too, and she had no way of getting these things. She showed up, and absolutely everything she needed was there at the Circulation Day. She just saw the sign, Circulation Day, drove in there, except for 1 bicycle. She had 2 kids. She had 1 bicycle we had here, but they needed another bicycle. Somebody overheard her say that and said, I got 1 at home, and they went and got it. She got every single thing. That is not why we're doing this, although it is. We're doing it because it's an expression of your spirit. It is your expression of spirit. How did this Circulation Day ever come about? Well, it started with Charles Fillmore in the 1920s. He got the first, I think it was the first, or one of the first, I think it was the first, radio license west of the Mississippi. And he bought himself a transmitter. And he didn't know how to run it. And, you know, they didn't regulate things a lot, so he just turned it up full blast. It was 1,000,000 watts of AM power. And there was a tribal chief in the inland country area of Nigeria who was quite wealthy. And he had a crystal radio, and he would listen every night, because Charles Fillmore would broadcast all night in a non-air conditioned room in Kansas City in the summer. He would actually, in the official record, strip down to his underwear, get buckets of ice water and pour it over himself and broadcast all night. This man would listen in Nigeria. Nobody knew about this, but he so fell in love with unity that he sent away for the literature, learned, taught himself, started churches, didn't know how to do churches. Unity didn't even know this was going on until the 1960s. It went on for 40 years. It became a booming movement in Nigeria. But they didn't know how to take offerings. They didn't know how to take love offerings. Sunday, you know, what do they do? So what they did was, people there didn't have a lot of cash. So what they would do is everybody would bring the stuff that they weren't using to the service, and they would do first pass-through. Somebody would play the music, and they'd lay it out there in the front. Then they go and they do a second pass-through, and they take everything that they needed, and anything left over was the church's. And we heard about this when I was in ministerial school, and people said, wow, that's a great idea, but we're not going to do that. What are they going to do with that idea? Why don't we just give forth into the community? Have a garage sale without money, no cash changes hands. Have a yard sale where you just give forth. And I remember when Unity on the Plaza in Kansas City first did this, people were outraged by this idea. They were scared of this idea, giving forth like this. And the board insisted that they hire security guards to make sure that there wasn't chaos or people in an uproar. And do you know what the security guards did? They passed out balloons. Because there was nothing for them to do. And when I went to my first church, we did this for year after year after year. We had tens of thousands of people in 11 churches. We were doing it all over the Los Angeles area. And they've done it all over the country. Giving forth, giving forth. It's a tangible way for you to get out of yourself and put that energy out there. But we can do this in so many ways. Be open to divine ideas. Put your energy out there. My guidance when I was looking for work was to just put it out there and not say no, not withdraw my name. You know, it wasn't the right situation, but I was to say yes. And they knew I wasn't right for them, but that's all right. They made that decision. I didn't have to defend myself or protect myself from that rejection. It was okay. It was all right. And I ended up here. And that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. So now let's open up. Let's open up to divine ideas. I love the image. You are in the image that Catherine Ponder writes about, not in this book, but elsewhere, of gold dust. It's all around you. You know that God is within you, but all around you is the evidence of God. And the substance of God certainly is within you, but imagine that you're opening to receive it. And this gold dust, this divine substance, shows up not just as the energy you feel, but also as ideas that precipitate into your mind and rest there and give forth life and light. You are an expanding being. Jesus said that when God is awakened in you, it's like yeast in the dough that grows the bread. It's like the spirit of a seed that grows into a great tree. And it's like a little baby that is receptive and trusts because it doesn't have any choice. He said, you got to be like that little baby. Imagine the face of a little baby and let your face take on that look. And know that that heart that he said you have to take on, the heart of a baby, the eyes of a child. Be open to God. Oh God, we're so grateful. The divine ideas are coming forth because of our willing, open hearts and spirit. So it is. Amen. And now take a deep breath and let it out. And set aside all that's in your hands and open your hands. You don't have to hold it up like you have a catcher's mitt, but you can have that receptive attitude. Once when I was looking for an answer, it came to me, God is the pitcher and you are the catcher. But first you have to put forth your hand. So with your heart, with your mind, with your energy, and your willing spirit, put forth your hand. Open to receive. God can pitch all the good balls that God can, but you've got to be open and ready. You've got to be open. And we're going to take a prayer treatment that was the very end of the book we're studying, The Secret of Unlimited Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. We're going to take these words as our own. But first I want you to imagine that your open hands are receiving all the good and all the bounty of the universe, which Catherine Ponder sometimes calls gold dust, the substance of God. Imagine you're receiving this rich blessing, knowing that God is within you, but the evidence of God is all around you, magnetized to and through you. That sparkling energy that's coming into your open, quiet hands. Feel the tingling in the palms of your hands as you sit in this quiet. And know that it is evidence of this gold dust energy, this abundance that you're receiving. And take these words of Catherine Ponder as your truth. I take only the good from each and every experience. I let the rest go. I begin now to recognize that there is another set of circumstances that is possible. I am not hypnotized by any appearances. My progress is swift and joyous. I am living a happy, harmonious life now. God, I am ready. I mentally accept and claim my highest good now. God, I am ready. God, I open my heart and I receive this gold dust energy, this wonderful spiritual substance. I receive this spiritual energy with my mind. God, I am ready. I open my mind to receive divine ideas from the mind of God. Unexpected ideas, outside of the box ideas. God, I am ready. I open my spiritual self to refine, to bless, to empower. I open my spiritual self to receive. My heart is open, my mind is open, my spirit is open. My hands are open. And I quiet my mind. And I receive. I am already in the consciousness I need to be in to receive. All past hurts are released and erased. I forgive everyone who's ever done anything, and I forgive myself, and I am open and receptive to my good. I am ready to receive divine ideas from the mind of God in my open, willing, open-handed, open-hearted spirit. Makes me receptive to my spiritual infilling. Thank you, God. Well, we're gonna do something this morning that it's our last time of doing this. It'll be the last time this is in the bulletin. This is our unexpected income treatment, and we're gonna do this as our offering blessing. So I want you to join with me and read this aloud with me, and just kind of take this in. So pull this out and read the green part and the inside. It's in your bulletins. Prayer treatment for unexpected income. Together. My life is blessed with infinite abundance. The abundance of God is my infinite resource. I am now in the flow of abundant blessings. Good is now flowing into my life through unexpected avenues. God is actively at work in my life, blessing me. I open my mind to receive my good. I expand my capacity to give and receive my good. Wonderful, positive, surprising things are now happening for me. With God as my source, I am amazed at my rich abundance. I give freely and fearlessly into life, and life multiplies and returns my gift many times over. Many rich blessings now manifest in expected and unexpected ways. God is now providing for me in wondrous ways. I am grateful, and so it is. Amen.